Over the past 3 years, I've been seeing some interesting headlines about Mozilla. Mostly negative headlines, but pretty interesting. If you don't know, Mozilla is a non-profit organization that is best known for developing the web browser called Firefox. And unlike most tech giants that thrive on data collection and proprietary technologies like these guys, Mozilla has always said that they focus on transparency, collaboration, and user-centered values. And for a long time, they were the underdogs that were very much loved by the general public. Everyone wanted to see them win. However, the last few years, a lot of their loyal base has been questioning Mozilla's decisions. And to be honest, the recent decisions that Mozilla has made, well, they have been pretty questionable. So if you search Mozilla, you'll often see the slogan, Internet for people, not profit. And that Mozilla is a company that obviously prioritizes people and their privacy over profits, which is a really great mission statement that everyone can get on board. Now, Mozilla is a non-profit organization. And usually when someone mentions that an organization is a non-profit, the first thing you think about is how does a company make money? And one might naturally think that Mozilla might get most of its money from donations, and those donations are probably from the public. Well, not really. So if we look at Mozilla's financial report, it made $593 million during the 2022 financial year. However, $510 million came from one company. And maybe one would think, this company is probably some nice socialist, privacy-respected company. No, it's not. The company who actually pays Mozilla $510 million is Google. So why does Google actually pay Mozilla this much money? Especially since Google obviously has its own browser called Google Chrome, and Google Chrome accounts for about 60% of the browser market share. It's a popular browser. Firefox, in essence, is quite a small competitor of Google. Firefox has about 2.7% market share. So why is Google giving money to a competitor? Google pays Mozilla so that the Google search can be the default search engine on Firefox. They started paying Mozilla since 2005, so it is quite a long relationship. And this type of deal is certainly not unheard of. Google also pays Apple to be the default search engine on iOS devices. But again, Apple doesn't claim to be a non-profit organization whose main focus is privacy and transparency. Everyone knows that Apple likes to make money. But for a company like Mozilla, claiming to be the internet for the people where your privacy matters, but then in the background you get a fat check from Google, which is a company that's heavily criticized on their privacy policies and processes. It doesn't make sense. We know Google loves tracking your browsing history to cross-sell tailored products. That's how Google search makes its money. So it is really questionable and quite a concern that a large chunk of Mozilla's revenue comes from Google. Is it really maintaining its slogan of internet for the people, not profit? But that issue wouldn't make you angry. This one might. So when a company does well, any company, usually that means that the employees would get a nice pay increase, and senior leadership, CEOs, also get a pay increase. Correct me if I'm wrong, but generally that's the logic. And you guessed it, Mozilla hasn't really stuck to this logic. So in 2018, Firefox, which is Mozilla's moneymaker, was down 85% in browser market share. It was negatively performing. It was a bad year. Really not a great year for Mozilla or for Firefox. Well, in the same year, CEO at the time called Mitchell Baker, you would assume that since a company is not performing well, she would take some sort of pay cut or some sort of reduced salary. Well, in 2018, Baker received a total of $2.4 million in compensation from Mozilla. It is a 400% pay rise since 2008. And everyone was quite unhappy when this was released. Apparently, when she was asked about her salary, she stated, I learned that my pay was about an 80% discount on market. meaning that competitive roles elsewhere were paying about 5 times as much. That's too big a discount to ask people and their families to commit to. So basically, she's saying that she should get paid the same as other CEOs in the space. And interestingly, if you do search this, you'll find a lot of comments on Reddit, on Hacker News, of people who used to work for Mozilla during the time, and they speak about the culture and the CEO quite negatively. I found this comment on Hacker News about someone who worked at Mozilla at the time. And I can't obviously confirm this, but this is what the comment said. I was working at Mozilla when she made this comment, shortly after laying off about 25% of the company. And it was the final straw for me. I can't speak to whether it was a final straw for others as well, but I can say in the span of about 8 to 9 months after those layoffs, every single person on my team, many who had been there for 5+ years, quit and took normal tech industry jobs that typically paid about 2 to 2.5 times more than Mozilla. Apparently, in Baker's mind, it's okay to ask people doing the actual work to take a massive discount to their compensation for ideological reasons, but when it interferes with her lavish lifestyle, it's suddenly unthinkable. She's truly an anchor around Mozilla's neck, and at this point, I've sort of grudgingly accepted that she'll only leave once she's drained every last drop of blood she can from the company. Well, that's quite juicy. So also, you might say, well, that was in 2018. I'm sure things have changed by then. Well, in 2020, Mitchell returned to her position of CEO, and her salary rose by $3 million. In the same year, the Mozilla Corporation actually laid off about 250 employees. Their reason was shrinking revenues. So you would assume, okay, maybe that was her last increase. Wrong. In 2021, her salary rose to about $5 million. And again in 2022, her salary increased to $7 million. And this is actually on the Mozilla tax filing returns. How on earth does she get a $7 million salary, but the company is decreasing in market share? It's not gaining much popularity. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense financially. She is in essence the reason of shrinking revenues. Also, if you look at her salary, which is here, and look at it in relation to the other salaries belonging to senior leadership, it is completely an outlier. And you have to ask the question, well, how much value is she bringing? Is she bringing millions of dollars in sales to even account for that level of a salary? The other thing that just doesn't make sense is Mozilla is a non-profit organization, but this is the salary of a CEO. Anyway, in February this year, Mitchell has stepped down and is replaced by an interim CEO, Laura Chambers. I can't see a specific reason to why she stepped down. I mean, who would step down? If a company is willing to pay me $7 million and get a 300 to 400% increase every year, that's a good deal. Looks like the CEO will focus on a new vision and strategy for the future, which they did announce. And researching that, again, it's another interesting decision made by Mozilla. The most recent decisions made by Mozilla about the future of Mozilla and Firefox really disappointed their core user base. One decision was essentially this. They've laid off people again. I don't know, maybe the CEO needs another raise. But also, they want to build AI into Firefox, which is quite controversial because I feel like AI in browsers isn't going too well at the moment. It's definitely not something that the public wants, and the technology isn't really there yet. We know Google implemented this a while back called Google AI Overview, where you search for something and the top result would be a little AI summary. And this AI summary is sometimes quite wrong or just doesn't make sense. And to be honest, this will happen because AI is a LLM, which hallucinates and makes up things. It is part of the model. Hallucinations are not going to go away anytime soon. Google has had major problems with it, so it's interesting that Firefox would want to try something like that. TechCrunch reports that there was an internal memo, and this memo did say that Mozilla will focus on bringing trustworthy AI into Firefox. The question being here is that if Google themselves miss the mark, and this is Google with probably an endless budget, lots of R&D, and Google's AI overview was just not received well at all, I'm not sure if this product for Firefox will actually attract the amount of users that they think it would. Another questionable decision that I'm not going to go into too much detail because it is fairly new, but Mozilla has recently bought a company called Anonym. They announced this in June this year, so it is fairly new. And Anonym is an advertising company that focuses on privacy. Again, I think when you think about online privacy, the main issue people have is with ads and ad tracking. And I think in general, if someone is really concerned about their online privacy, they don't like ads at all, like any type of ads. And if someone is really concerned and cares about their online privacy to the fact where that they would change browsers and go to a lesser known, smaller market share browser like Firefox, generally those kind of people actually don't want ads at all. They don't want anything tailored. They don't want anything marketed specifically for them, which again, I guess we'll see where this goes. But it does look like a lot of their user base didn't like them acquiring an ad company because it is still an ad company, whether or not they concentrate on privacy. And they would honestly rather see Mozilla focus on spending money to develop a better Firefox with more enhanced browser features, which I agree would make sense if you are a core Firefox user and you see them investing in things like AI and buying an ad company, and you have a long list of things that they should fix on Firefox to make it a better browser. I can see how you would just not be happy if you are a loyal user. I think a while ago, Mozilla has had a good reputation. It's sad to see that there are some cracks on the wall. But again, if you compare Mozilla/Firefox to other competitors in the market, like Google, Microsoft, and Apple, it is still the underdog that you do want to see win. So hopefully they can turn it around. I think the issue is that their flagship product, which is Firefox, is a web browser. And most people select web browsers due to convenience, due to what's easy, what's popular. And they really need to find a way to stand out in a way that's different to other competitors in the market. So hopefully they can turn it around, find a good CEO, and make their users happy. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. If you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Cheers.